Hi, my name is Kathy Dixon. Welcome back to the Math Reflective. I'm a 6th grade math teacher in Illinois, and I'm also a brand new community coach for Open Up Resources 6-8 Math. Back in action today, and I just want to share a few things that I've been doing as a teacher of math and using Open Up Resources 6-8 Math. So I'm going to share a little bit about how I'm setting things up in Canvas, what's working well, what's not working well, how we used to do things doesn't work. For example, cooldowns. So everything is digital. We're not using paper whatsoever. So how do we handle cooldowns? That's one of the things I want to talk about as well. Okay, so to go ahead and get started, I'm first going to show you my Canvas homepage. This year, for the first time since the move to virtual learning, our district thought it would be really helpful for parents and students to have a homepage template that grades 6 through 12 would utilize. So it's a common look for parents, even though we're going to personalize these a little bit. At least parents have some commonalities on their homepage. Each week, we're expected to have our agenda and an overview that includes what unit we're on. So we're on Unit 2 ratios, a summary of that unit, our learning targets for each day, what activities we'll be doing, and any kind of homework that we have. As you can see, this is my second period class. I only see them Monday and Wednesdays for 70 minutes, and then every other Friday. School, we encourage students to always go through modules. When they look at things, that's the way that we set things up. We did not import anything from Open Up Resources, even though I know it integrates with Canvas. However, you can see my cursor here. We build modules. And then the student view, the students only see a few of these items that are on the left. We have a set amount of tabs that we want students to see. We don't need them to see all of this stuff. So on the teacher view, it's going to look like more. So here is my Unit 2 ratios module. And in there, we always provide an extra practice and absence resource. And basically what that is something that we got from that Erin Morgan, who has the Morgan videos. It also has the links to Khan Academy, extra practice for each lesson. So we encourage students to do this for review and things like that. Also, if students are absent, they can click on a lesson summary, and then we have the Morgan videos as well. So going back to modules. Also in the module, we will put the Unit 2 syllabus. For each unit, we would put a syllabus. I could put this in as a page. I tend to put things in as an assignment. That's just the way I operate. But yes, I could just put it in as a file or even as a page. Students are going to be putting this into Notability. We use iPads. We're one-to-one with iPads. So not only does it have all the learning targets for parents and students to see, but we can also have them self-monitor and assess. To be honest, we just finished lessons 3 and 4, and we are going to be having them open this and do this because we have not done it yet. But since we are coming up on an assessment soon for lessons 1 through 5, we want them to kind of self-assess. So we have that for every unit as well. And then this has changed from years past when we were in person and school was normal. But how we're setting it up is each lesson, we're kind of shortening the name. So we're doing tasks, cool down, practice. Next lesson, tasks, cool down, practice, kind of to get students used to that. So the tasks are basically the student task statements. I like calling them tasks instead of notes. This particular, the first lesson, we did not do Nearpod. We used a Desmos that was already available. So that one doesn't show it. But if I go down to lesson 2, let's start with lesson 2. That would have been smart. It shows that I have an embedded Nearpod. Okay, this was at the end of a lesson and students had to rate their mastery level of the target. So our district has upgraded to, I don't even know what the subscription is called for Nearpod. That's an upgraded one, but we are able to embed it in Canvas. When students open it, there'll be a blue bar that says launch external tool, and then it'll take them to the Nearpod itself. And then this allows me to be able to utilize Speed Grader here. So if I want to look at how students are doing. So back to the modules. So having the Unit 2 Lesson 2 tasks, and then we have the cool down, and then the practice assignment. Getting students used to that kind of process. For their practice assignments, we ask them to put it in Notability, and we have 3 criteria for them to earn full 5 points for their practice. They have to have all problems completed and show all their work. They have to score each one C, PC, and Y, and then make all corrections. All the scoring and corrections we require that that is done in red. We do not typically take classroom time to go over practice problems. We also include the Morgan video again. These are the videos that go through the entire student task statement as well as every practice problem. Boy, are they a lifesaver for so many teachers that use Open Up Resources 6-8 Math or illustrative mathematics. We also do something a little different, is we provide the key here for the practice. That's how they're able to do the scoring. So it's a free 5 points every day, basically, that they do have a lesson practice assignment. So given that we only see them twice a week, they will only have 2 lesson practice assignments a week. And we give them 2 days to complete that. So we give them until the next time we see them in the hybrid schedule. And then that's pretty much it for that. All right, the next thing that I want to share with you, I had mentioned in my part one video about cooldowns and how I'm thinking about them differently this year, being that we're remote, and even in the hybrid in person, we will not be using paper. So I love to do a quick sort with paper and just kind of put students into groups either that day or the next day. I want the most efficient process of how I can identify who needs what. Based on their cool down results. And it does take longer to sort through them digitally in Canvas. For this last one, lesson 3 through 4, we combined those lessons, which was part of the Unit 2 guidance from Open Up Resources. So we gave them both cool downs at once. And usually, we have time in class right now because our class times are block schedule, but we ran out of time for this one. So I actually wanted to go through and score each one on my own. And I can use my iPad and the Speed Grader app to do that. So I can write and annotate and write feedback right on their cooldown itself. But I wanted to go even further, and instead of looking at each one separately or creating a spreadsheet that kind of highlights where students are at, I remember that Canvas can do this for me. So I created a learning outcome called Determine Next Steps, basically. And what I did is I set up an outcome that could show me, if I scroll up and down, where my students are at. Of course, you can't see student names, but you can see that we've got, mastery, near mastery, or well below mastery. And it's got 2 pages, so I can look at all my students based on the rubric when I scored them. Now, we don't count cooldowns for points for students. It doesn't go into their overall score because it's a formative assessment that's just going to help guide instruction, guide next steps, and make students aware of where they're at. So I kind of wanted to show you my end goal was to have this. So tomorrow, which is Monday, we are going to do a workshop day, and we're going to put students into 3 different groups. We're going to have a reteaching group, students that are below mastery. And we're going to go over this cool down and even lesson 1 and 2 cool downs. We are also going to have a group that's going to start working on their study guide for their lessons 1 through 5 quiz. I have a co-teacher in this particular class and a parapro. So on Zoom, we're going to utilize breakout rooms and the main Zoom room for this. And then my third group that's ready to go deeper, that has mastered, they're going to work on lessons 1 and 3, Are You Ready for More's? And they can do that independently in a breakout room. And I anticipate that they will take turns kind of taking the lead and discuss that. So I'm really excited to try this and excited that I can utilize this in Canvas. But I want to show you more how I got to this point. So Friday, this is what I worked on. We had an institute day and we were working on things in Canvas and other things for our district. But basically, I had to go into setting up an outcome. And I'll just show this one for an example. Okay, so determine next steps. I have actually tweaked how I'm going to do this because I realize if I keep the same outcome every time I have a cool down, it'll be cumulative. And I don't want them to average together. I want to have separate information for each cool down so I know as we go lesson by lesson if students are getting it. So I'm already going to tweak this and I'm going to make an outcome for each cool down. So we've got mastered, go deeper at 3 points, proficient, needs to work on fluency maybe at 2 points, and developing support needed at 1 point. These aren't really going to generate points for the students, but it will then allow me to look at rubrics. You can see I'll go into my rubrics and I can do a cool down mastery check. That's what I'm calling it. So I can add this rubric onto a cool down, and then when I grade it, I'm just clicking on this to grade whether they're a 3, 2, 1. Again, those points aren't generating for them because their cooldown is 0 points, but it does give me a signal as to who is where as in regards to mastery level. And that was the red and the green and the orange that you found. Again, if you're a Canvas user, you would have to go into outcomes. You would have to create and set up the outcome. I also have one for daily practice assignments if they meet all that criteria. But I'm just repeating what I was saying before. You've got to, you could do it master or yet, met and not yet. Sorry. So you could just do met and not yet if you wanted to do 2 groups. So you just create that however you want. You can go through and edit this. There's an edit feature. And then you just add it to a rubric when you're making a rubric. This isn't really a video of how to do those things in Canvas. I'm just letting you know how I'm using the platform that I already have to kind of help me. But I'll also show you daily practice. I think I made a different one. Let me go into my rubrics. Yeah, math practice assignment. So now I have a rubric for math practice assignments. We either give a 5 if they've shown continuous learning, and that's evident with all problems complete, all work shown, and scoring and correcting done. They get the full 5 points. It's really a compliance criteria. Or they only get 1 point if they lack evidence of continuous learning and they've not yet met the criteria. And we have to do a lot of training with students on this. So I'm going to start adding this to my practice assignments, and hopefully that'll make my scoring in SpeedGrader a little simpler. Well, I hope this gives you an idea of how I set up my Canvas modules for Open Up Resources 6-8 Math. Again, I teach grade 6, but this could be done with any of the grade levels. And hopefully, if you use Canvas, you can see how outcomes and rubrics can actually make your life a little bit more efficient and easier to manage in this digital world. Thanks so much for watching. Are you ready for more?